As you may or may not know, my wife and I just got back from Vegas. It was a great trip. We ate, we drank, we had a blast. But then we got home and looked at the credit card, and I gotta say, it doesn't matter how much fun you're having, $25 for a drink is a ripoff. Frickin' Vegas. I hate getting ripped off, and so do the lads over at Harry's. They spent years watching the razor blade companies rip people off and said, no more. Not all heroes wear capes, my friends, and they want to prove that they're legit by offering you hot dogs a $13 trial set for just $3 at harrys.com/RTG. I've been telling you about them for months, and I'm genuinely proud to have Harry's as a sponsor of this show. I wasn't kidding. The plastic, futuristic-looking crap razors you get at the store are overpriced and they're poor quality. Harry's blades are crisp, clean, and classy. They're the kind of razor you'd expect your grandpa to have on his bathroom counter. And most importantly, they work. Shave after shave, they're so smooth, they're precise. I used to go through the crappy store blades all the time, but Harry's are built to last. And they're not just better quality than the other names, they're more affordable. And they deliver. Just set your schedule, and for as little as $2, new blades, shaving creams, lotions, everything you need, right to your door when you need it. I genuinely cannot think of a reason not to try Harry's. And I'm not just saying this because they're sponsors. They're the best shaving supplies I've ever used. Try them out, and if you're not happy, your shave's on them. And unlike the other subscriptions, they're really easy to cancel if you want to too, which is a nice bonus, but believe me, you're not going to want to cancel. Getting ripped off isn't funny. Switch to Harry's. Get started with a $13 trial set for just $3 at harrys.com/RTG. That's harrys.com/RTG for a $3 trial set. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Remember the Game. It is my retro gaming podcast where every week a buddy of mine and I sit down and we geek out about the games we played back in the day. My name is Adam Blank. Thank you so much for listening to the show. And this week it is episode 141, and we're talking a bona fide gem. One of the greatest games in one of the greatest franchises on one of the greatest consoles of all time. Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Kong Quest. It is great. Fucking great. I don't remember if I said it was great or not. I love this game, and I'm not going to sit here and say that this is definitively the best game that we've never covered on Remember the Game, because I think that's a pretty hot take. That's debatable, but I will sit here and say it is one of the best games that we have never covered on this show. And damn it, it is time to right that wrong, because not only does this game look, sound, and play phenomenal, but it was the debut of Dixie Kong. And as you may know, if you follow me on social media, I am a longtime Dixie for Smash Ultimate advocate. She's a phenomenal character. She kicks ass. She should be in Smash Brothers. I'm glad she's in this game. And fuck me, there's just so much good here. My guest this week is the Diddy to my donkey, my pal Bradley McCue, who also adores this game, as should anyone with even an essence of taste for good video games. And if you're waiting on Angry Adam to make an appearance on Remember the Game, you're going to have to wait at least another week. He's not going to be here this time. This show is all positivity for this week, or at least this one time around anyway. It's all positive. So, and we're going to talk about Diddy and Dixie's shenanigans in just a little bit, because speaking of positivity, it is time for yet another edition of the Remember the Game infamous intro. Dun, 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 dun. And a quick reminder, as always, you can find timestamps in the description box if you want to skip around. Don't yell at me because it's long, blah, 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 blah. Also, if you can hear kids outside screaming, it's because the kids that live near my house are outside screaming, and despite closing the window and throwing several rocks at them, they're still... I'm kidding about one of those two things. You guys can decide which one, but they're still out there screaming. So if you can hear them, I'm sorry. I'm not a good enough editor to edit that out. I would be remiss, which is my word of the day, if I did not start the infamous intro this week by thanking everyone that bought a ticket to my online comedy show this past Saturday. It was a huge success. Great feedback from everyone, the studio, people that watched the show. Mark McCue had a fucking great time. We made a little bit of extra money. It was just wins all around. It was 3 weeks of fucking stress, but I feel really good now. I went off without a hitch, so from a sincere, not just one of those thank yous that I throw out every 8 minutes on this show, but a sincere, bottom of my big fat heart thank you to everyone that came by and everyone that supported it and bought a ticket. And I'm sorry that I couldn't get to everyone's comments and questions at the end of the show, because we did a Q&A. We kind of tacked a Q&A onto the end of the comedy show, and we kind of ran out of time. But fuck, it was fun, man. We're going to do another one. It was legit one of the funnest nights of my comedy career. So, and several of you have asked, yeah, are you going to do another one? Yes, eventually. I don't know when. It'll be a while, because frankly, I used up all my good jokes on that show. So I don't have enough material to fill another hour-long comedy show right away. But we will look at doing another one. So we had people watching from the States and all over the place, and just fucking feeling great. So thank you for the support and for listening to my goddamn constant plugs over the last 3 weeks. I won't be plugging that anymore. But speaking of thanks and plugs, thank you to everyone that has signed up for our Patreon over the last few weeks. We went from 199 Patreons to 242 over 20 days. So thank you so much. Check your inboxes if you're on Patreon. I have asked for your shipping address to send you a Remember the Game lanyard. I wasn't able to order those until I knew the final count of how many I was going to have to order, but I'm just waiting. I'm hoping the email comes in as I'm recording this. I'm just waiting to hear back from the manufacturer with a finalized picture of the design. I think they look dope, and then we'll get them ordered, and they'll probably be shipping out in early April. So check your messages so I can get I'm going to start locking some shipping addresses down fast so that it's done. So there you go. And you can still sign up if you want to get in. I've ordered a few extras. I'll try to get a couple more out there if you get in there. So, because frankly, these podcasts and stuff wouldn't exist without your Patreon support. It's that's why, I say it every week. You guys know that. It is just $2 US. You get access to all of our bonus podcasts. You get early podcasts. You can submit comments to be read on the show, including playing Play One, Remake One, Erase One. You can vote for the games we cover. You can join our Discord, all that good stuff. Episode 51 of our Patreon exclusive show Expansion Pass went live this past Sunday, and by popular demand, I decided to review God of War for the PlayStation 4, and just all of my review episodes are absolutely spoiler-free. I tack a short spoiler cast on at the end, but I warn you 100 times first, so you can listen to any review episode I've done and not worry about having the game ruined for you. And as is becoming tradition, here is a sneak peek at the most recent episode of Expansion Pass, episode 51, God of War 2018 review. The Kratos character, the main character. They nail him. They nail the relationship that he has with his son. One of the cool things is that you spend portions of the game in a canoe, going from island to island. And yeah, it's a touch Wind Waker-y, but not nearly as long, not nearly as boring. The land is much fuller. It's fucking gorgeous to look at. It's not boring at all. If you didn't like the water, the ship traveling, ship rowing shit in a game like Wind Waker, do not sweat this game, because it's not nearly as tedious or boring, not at all. And while they're in the boat, while they're in the canoe, they talk to each other. And even if they weren't talking to each other, it would be fine, because the game is just so gorgeous. It's fun to just look at while you're exploring. But Kratos and Atreus spend time in the boat just talking to each other. And sometimes they're talking about whatever happens in the game or where they are in the story and stuff like that. Or sometimes they just tell stories. Kratos will tell Atreus a story, just a fable or a tale or something like that. Or an old, a myth or whatever. And they're really entertaining. They really, they get your attention, and you want to hear how these stories end. So that was this past Sunday's episode. Again, 100% spoiler free. It's available the second you sign up on Patreon, along with a ton of other reviews. Like we have Last of Us 2, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Paper Mario and the Origami King, Ghost of Tsushima, Cyber Shadow, Slay the Spire. There's also ranking episodes in there. We look back at old consoles, tons of fun stuff. Again, $2 gets you all the old episodes, new ones every Sunday, and a bunch more. Plus, you get a shout out, and you get to hear me mispronounce and butcher your name like I'm about to do to most of these people. A huge thank you to all of our newest Patreons: Raul Aguilar, I Worked at Subway, David Phillips, Corey Street, Chosen Alst, Gary Heather, Carmichael Nicholas, yes, I suck at this. Squints, John DeShazo, Tense Sparkster, Lee Whitworth, Nathaniel Shelley, Explode Processing, Swedish Fish, and Captain Cool. Thank you all so much. Welcome to Remember the Game Industries, patreon.com/rememberthegame. Also, don't forget I have a P.O. box. I just sent out a whole bunch of thank you postcards to people. You can find the full address at rememberthegamepodcast.com, but it is P.O. Box 69181, Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, T6V1G7. Just shoot me a quick letter, a postcard, something. Let me know where you're listening. I'll send you one back. We'll be best friends. That's how the world works. And finally, as always, I stream on Twitch a few nights a week. We're going with Tuesday and Wednesday evenings, and then Saturday afternoons right now. Just look for Member the Game over on Twitch. Not Remember, Member the Game over on Twitch. And you can come by and make fun of me while I suck at video games, and I'll talk to people in the chat. It's a lot of fun. And our audience is growing over there, dude. We're slowly and surely, we are fucking climbing the mountain to take over Twitch, just like we're taking over the retro gaming podcast world, and then they'll all fucking pay. But anyway, that's enough blowing myself. Let's blow some of you. Let's blow in the cartridges. It is our opening segment on the show every week. I read a few comments and questions from our Patreons, usually gaming related, but not always. And we call this segment Blowing in the Cartridge.
He blows all right. He blows big time.
That's it, honey. Get into the spirit.
And we're just getting like more and more comments each week. So thank you all so much. If you don't get read, please keep trying. I will get you on the show soon, I promise. We had a ton of new names pop up this week, and I love that, man. I love mispronouncing new names. So let's blow. Our first blower this week is Swedish Fish. And Swedish Fish said, Adam, just picked up a Nintendo Switch with the new Super Mario Bros. U, and the family can't put it down. What are some of the must-have titles to start with for this system? That is a loaded question, Swedish Fish. That's hard. It depends on your taste. It depends on your family's taste. What are you willing to subject your family to? But the Switch library is awesome. I truly believe that. There's something in there for everybody. The future might look a little dark right now. See what comes. But if you're just catching up on the last 4 years, you are in for a treat, my friend. Now, you said you got Mario U, and you said your family's playing it and loving it. So I'm assuming that you want some more family-style games like that. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe would probably be my first suggestion. Everyone can play it. It's designed to let anyone play. It's Mario Kart. It's fucking perfect. It's huge. Mario Odyssey is really, really good as well, but it is single player. So just remember that. It's a great Mario game, but it is single player. If you're looking for another multiplayer Mario, Super Mario 3D World is a port of the Wii U game, which is also the Mario Brothers U that you're playing is also a port of a Wii U game. And I think Mario 3D World is really, really fun, and you can play it up to 4 players at once. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is another gem, but again, single player, so keep that in mind. Smash Brothers is awesome. Those would probably be my early suggestions. I mean, there's a ton of great games, but if you're talking Mario games and you're talking playing it with the family, then Mario 3D World or Mario Kart 8 would probably be my top pick. Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild, if you don't mind going the single-player route. And don't forget Mario 3D All-Stars is only available until the end of the month, apparently, allegedly, according to Nintendo. Fucking Nintendo. But that has Mario 64, Mario Sunshine, and Mario Galaxy on it. Again, they're all single-player, but it is 3 really good Mario games, and you've got, 8 days to fucking buy it because Nintendo keeps threatening to take it away. So keep that in mind. Enjoy your Switch. Let me know what you get. Thank you for writing in, and thank you for the support, Swedish Fish. You know what I think of when I think of Swedish Fish? I think of the blue fish, like the gummy candies, but I also think of Swedish berries. And oh god, dude, I haven't had a Swedish berry in so long. That is the definitive fucking 5-cent candy. I don't give a shit what you say. Fuzzy peaches are there too, but Swedish berries, oh yeah. Scott Brooks wrote into us on Patreon and said, "Hey, Adam, long-time listener, first-time blower here." I love that. "I know you've already covered the worst enemies in gaming a little while back, but have you ever thought about the most petty? My mind goes to the sand foot soldiers in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, The Manhattan Project. Those petty little sons of bitches' sole mission was to literally throw sand in the turtles' eyes. It's so hilarious, but it makes you wonder, when they were round tabling the development of this game, how the hell that baddie was brought up. That was my random gaming shower thought for the week." Yeah, that's good stuff. You know what? I never thought about that, Scott Brooks, but that's fucking hilarious. And you're right. They are fucking petty. I know exactly who you're fucking talking about. Those goddamn, I think they're yellow. Those fucking foot soldiers that literally just throw the sand in your eyes. And I love the idea of the developers sitting around dreaming it up, but I think even more so, I love the idea of Shredder going to Baxter Stockman and telling him to design a new style of the foot soldier robots and be like, "I don't want them attacking. I don't want them to kill them. I just want their eyes irritated." Like, just, that's all I want them to do. And get another one that'll just spray them with the hose. Yes, that'll show them. That's fucking, I love that. There's fucking tons of enemies that are just petty. It's driving me crazy that I can't think of an example, but just about any enemy that can't hurt you and just slows you down or gets in the way fucking irritates me. All of them. Like, I would rather you try to kill me than just try to inconvenience me. That just, oh man, like in some Mario games, I think Mario Sunshine was bad for it. I'm trying to think of which game it was. I want to say Mario Sunshine, but they had these like big fat enemies that would just flick you in the air if you went fucking near them, and they're not going to hurt you. They just disrupt what you're doing. You just got to walk back to where you were and try again. Fuck that. Fuck that. I hate enemies that don't try to kill you, that are just there to be a nuisance. That's my, fucking petty. Oh, hell of a blow, Scott. Good job. I like that. Good stuff. Amy Gillen wrote into us on Patreon and said, "Hey, Adam, congrats on your industries expanding so much lately. I'm so happy for you." Thanks, Amy. Amy says, "My question/blow is, was there ever a game growing up that you were too young to understand, but once you got a little older, you went back and could appreciate it to its full effect? Keep bringing the hot dogs all this awesome content, dude. You are a man of the people." Aw. Thanks, Amy. Yeah, I like that. I'm a man of the hot dogs. I like that. That's a good question. A game that I didn't understand as a kid, but I appreciate it more as an adult. I was a pretty dumb kid. I didn't understand much. Actually, yeah. You know what? I can think of some. Dragon Warrior. Dude, Dragon Warrior, the first Dragon Warrior on the NES. I always talk about how Final Fantasy II on the Super Nintendo was my first JRPG, but I did play Dragon Warrior before I played Final Fantasy, and I just remember having no fucking idea what was going on in that game, just aimlessly walking around until something overpowered killed me. So if you haven't played it, like, the very first Dragon Warrior is about as basic as RPGs get. You have one character, and you just basically grind in an area until you level up and come up with enough gold to buy the more powerful equipment, better armor, a better sword or whatever. And then you move on to the next area with stronger bad guys and rinse and repeat and rinse and repeat and rinse and repeat. And then all you do is fight until you're almost out of health, walk back to the hotel or the inn or whatever, sleep, get your health back, walk back out, fight, kind of grind money. It is super basic. And I've beaten it as an adult, and I actually love that stupid game. We're going to do an episode of this show on Dragon Warrior for sure. But as a kid, no fucking idea what was going on. I just walked into more powerful areas and got wrecked all the time. What else? Oh, dude, I didn't understand the point of point-centric high-score video games when I was a kid either. I remember my dad came back from Cambodia. He served over there with the military. And when he came back from Cambodia, he bought us this like knockoff cartridge for the NES, which was like 2 pieces that went together, and it had 31 games on it. And it had stuff like Popeye, Donkey Kong, Galaga, and we played all of them, but I never really understood that we weren't really trying to like beat the game. Do you know what I mean? We were just going for a high score. Paperboy was another one. And I would play them and play them and play them and never understood that, like, you're not even trying to beat the game. You're just trying to get as many points as you can. And Echo the Dolphin. No joke. I'm not even kidding. I'm not even kidding. Because I used to play it at the dentist office as a kid, and I thought it was fun. And now as an adult, I've realized that it was like as painful as the dentist. But I didn't get it back then. So it's a good question, Amy. Thank you. Nathaniel Shelley, I hope I said your name right. Nathaniel Shelley wrote in and said, "Hey Adam, longtime listener, new patron. Thank you very much. Love all the podcasts, and the fact that I found you on a whim was the best stumble of my life." Before I finish your comment, Nathaniel, I like that. Remember the game, the best stumble of your life. I like that. That's a good tagline. So Nathaniel said, on another note, what's your opinion on the Dark Souls games? I personally have 100%ed all of them on my Xbox, and I love them, but it's always awesome to hear other people's experiences with them. Oh boy, you're opening a can of fucking worms here, Nathaniel. I've only ever played the first Dark Souls, and I jumped into it after hearing about how hard those games were, because I know I rage about video games and stuff, but I actually really like difficult video games for the most part. If they're tough but fair, like a Celeste, The Messenger, Shovel Knight, Crash Team Racing was tough, but I loved it. I mean, even the Crash Bandicoot games are pretty tough, but I like them. I love that kind of stuff. But Dark Souls is just, I'm not good. I'm not good enough. It's too hard. And I don't think Dark Souls is unfair. But what really turns me off about Dark Souls is that when I die, I have to go back to the last fire I was at and then slowly fucking trudge back to what killed me so that I can take another shot at it. And I understand that's kind of the hook and the loop, but it's just so slow. And then it's and every time I die, I have to do the same 10 minutes of gameplay over and over and over again. And I lose my patience and I stop having fun. And you know what? I think if I had played the Dark Souls games before modern games turned me into a wimp and made me soft with giving me a checkpoint every 8 seconds, I probably would enjoy the Dark Souls more and have had more patience to plug through them. But I just don't have the patience now. I actually sold my copy of Dark Souls, and I do find myself craving it and thinking about going back to it every once in a while. But I won't rebuy it because I know it's just going to piss me off again, and I'm just going to end up being they're not bad games. I don't hate them, but they're not for me. I'm not good enough. I'm not patient enough to get good. So it's like I'm not good with spicy food, so I don't eat the spicy wings. And that's Dark Souls is spicy wings. I get why they're good, but I don't do the spice, Thank you for writing in, and thank you for the support, my friend. Chosenalst, I hope I'm saying that right. Chosenalst wrote in and said, I enjoy your show and I would like to blow. I love that. Would you consider the Wii a retro console right now? Some say it's more modern retro. Same thing could be said for the PlayStation 3. If not considered a retro console, then how old does the system have to be considered a retro console? Thank you for the great content as I slog through the backlog. I'm currently on episode 117. Well, thank you for listening, Chosenalst, and for writing in and for the support. This has been a source of debate around these parts for some time. Because you know what? I was talking about covering PS3, Xbox 360 games, and Wii games on the show, a year and a half ago. But every time I ran a poll asking people if you considered them retro, it was almost 50-50 split. Every single time I asked people, it was almost a 50-50 split. So we did cover Skyrim on the show a few weeks ago. We have an Uncharted episode in the bank coming up soon. We are going to start covering the odd PS3, Xbox 360, Nintendo Wii game because the term retro is very loose. I don't think there is a defined generation of gaming that is considered the last retro console. Personally, I feel like PlayStation 2, Xbox, GameCube, that generation and back is retro. But that's because those are the games that I grew up playing. And frankly, that's why I decided to start covering the odd 360 PS3 Wii game on the show, because some of our younger listeners have wrote in and said they consider those games retro. And to me, the definition of a retro video game is one that an adult grew up playing. Does that make sense? The PlayStation 3 came out in 2006. So if someone was born in 2001, they're 20 years old now. And I know we have people listening that are in that age bracket, but they were 5 years old when the PlayStation 3 launched. I was 5 years old when I was playing the NES. But I was 23 when the PS3 launched. So it feels like part of my adulthood. You know what I mean? It's not part of my childhood, whereas the NES is. So I think it's all just so subjective. Like I say, personally, I would consider the PlayStation 2 era back to be retro, but to our young listeners, it's different. I can respect that. It's what you played growing up. So There you go. Yeah, it's modern retro, I guess makes sense. But see, if I hear the word modern retro, I consider something like Shovel Knight, Celeste, Cyber Shadow, The Messenger, those like the current games that look retro. That's what modern retro is to me. But anyway, all right, So yeah, floating target. There you go. Thank you for writing in. And then the final blower this week means that it's letter time. It's letter time. And our letter time letter this week comes in from Tim Riel. And Tim says, I'm an old man, Adam. Not so old that I have retirement level free time, but old enough that I haven't the mental or cognitive abilities to track down the story path of these newfangled game series boasting 80 to 100 hours of narrative. I can barely handle 20 or 25 hours. I've restarted The Last of Us 5 times over 6 years because I keep forgetting who everyone was. And because of this, I find myself drawn to the narrative light games because I can sit down and play those whenever, and it doesn't matter that it has been months since I played. I can pick up a No Man's Sky and be happy, no memory jogging needed. But I long for the days when I could play a great, well-told story in one sitting. I miss the days when a 10 to 12 hour story wasn't reviewed as a ripoff, or why wasn't this just DLC? As you know, I've been diving into playing entire games in one go, and after the Uncharted series, Hellblade, and A Plague Tale, I'm already running out of AAA quality stories that can be digested in a single go. Am I alone in this? Am I the only one that wants a 10-hour story? Am I old and off-trend? Is there a market anymore for the games I want to play? Am I the only one that thinks Spider-Man Miles Morales looks like a better narrative experience than Spider-Man because it's short? And an actual question, what's your favorite single-serve narrative-focused game? Tim, I don't know if you put so many big words in there because that's just the type of person you are, or if you put them in there to try to trip me up and fuck with me, but well done, because you kind of did both. And it was so funny reading all of your list of questions. All I could think of was Principal Skinner when he was just like, am I so out of touch? No, it's the children who are wrong. And I feel the same way, man. You're not alone in this at all. I have the softest of soft spots in my heart for games that have the balls to be short. And I understand, unfortunately, a game's length is somewhat directly tied to its value these days. And that fucking sucks, because I've said it before. Give me 10 hours of phenomenal game over 40 hours of collectibles and boring, useless side missions. Fucking all day, twice on Sunday. Particularly since I launched Remember the Game, I've actually really grown to appreciate short games. Not only because I want to play as many games as possible, but because a lot of retro games that I play for the show are short. Right? There wasn't a ton of fucking 50, 60 hour games on the NES and the SNES. They were, 2-3 hours up to 10, 15 hours. And it's just like Mario RPG. One of my favorite games of all time is like 12 hours long or something. That's fucking perfect. I love that. So I know there are gamers out there that want that beefy 200-hour experience. And I think there's a place for those games for sure. But as someone that has to and wants to play as many games as possible, I agree with you, Tim. I love a nice short game. I love that. If you are looking for shorter games, my first thought is to suggest looking into more indie titles. They're not always going to tell the same story, that a Last of Us or a Hellblade does, but a lot of them are nice little 10 to 15 hour bite-sized games that kick ass. You're also going to save some money because indies are dirt cheap. I don't mind it if a game is 40 hours long. But respect my time. Don't waste my fucking time. Make it a good 40 hours. God of War. I just finished God of War. I probably put 35 hours into it. And I was like, that was a good, solid, beefy 35 hours. Whereas you take a game like Spider-Man, and I love Spider-Man on the PS4. After I got into it, I really started to dig it. But there's so much time in that game just spent looking for backpacks and collectibles and fighting bad guys. And I hit a point where I'm like, respect my time. I don't want to do this. Let me just play the game. Do you know what I'm saying? Dude, I just played Resident Evil 2 Remake. I did 2 playthroughs, one with each character, and each playthrough was under 10 hours. Fucking perfect. So I agree. And I really hope we get away from this trend that you mentioned, Tim, of games have to be 40 plus hours to be value. Or to have value concept. I fucking hate that. Last of Us 2 was a great game, but that story overstayed its welcome. You could have gotten rid of the last 5 hours of that game and I wouldn't have been offended. I don't want to spoil anything, but I just don't think they were necessary. I'm a little hopeful that a service like Game Pass makes developers feel a little bit more comfortable taking chances on a shorter, tighter game because people won't complain if it's over in 7 hours because they didn't pay $80 for it. It was just part of their subscription service. You know what I mean? And I will say something to keep in mind, and I forget this a lot too, is a lot of open world games can be short if you just play the main quest. And I know that's easier said than done. I've had tons of those games where I swore I was just going to bomb through the main story to see how it ends. And then those little icons start popping up on the map and you're like, ooh, what's that? Oh, what's this over there? And now 40 hours are gone past and I get it. But there are some of those games like a Spider-Man that if you just skip the side shit and go through the main story, you can beat them faster. So just keep that in mind. And then just quickly, you asked what my favorite single-serve narrative-driven game is, which I assume you mean is one that I could play through in one sitting. I don't think it's a AAA game because I gotta be honest, like I can't sit down and even a 10-hour game. I can't sit down and binge to a 10-hour game. I almost always have 2 games on the go at once at least because I'm the type of person where after 3 or 4 hours tops, I want to switch and just play something else. Even if I'm spending the whole day gaming, it's just like it's like I'm just eating French fries, and I need a bite of the burger. I can't just eat the French fries, so I gotta switch it up. But a game that fits your description for me, a story-based game that I could beat in one sitting. You know what? First game that pops into my mind is a game called Gone Home. And it's not a AAA, Uncharted, Last of Us, etc. style of game. It's a little indie. It's a walking simulator. You literally just walk around this house, solve some very basic puzzles, and it's more about just taking in a story. And I can't really explain much more than that, but it was really, really special. I played it once. I don't think I'll ever play it again because it's just really the story and I know where the story's going. But it tells a great story. It's short, really hits home. No pun intended. So Gone Home is excellent and cheap and short, and that is my suggestion. And I understand how you feel, Tim, as did several people that replied to you on our Patreon because they all, people get, stop with the 80-hour games that don't need to be 80 hours. Whew. Thanks, buddy. Thank you for writing in. And that's all the blowing this week. Guys, thank you so much for all the messages and questions, everybody. Please keep them coming. I can't read everyone every week. I've stopped stressing out about it quite as much because I've just realized it's impossible. But I'll get you on sooner than later if you keep playing, I promise. That'll do it for that segment. I almost said that's all the blowing, but you guys already know that's all the blowing. Let's get into our smash hit segment. Play one, remake one, erase one. And a thank you, as always, to Classic Concentration from the NES for unknowingly providing us with the theme music for the show. The rules are simple. Every week, I give our listeners 3 retro video games. They can play one as it was released, they can remake one as a modern game, and the third game is erased forever. And this week, since we're talking Donkey Kong Country 2, which was made by Rare, I thought we would do a Rare edition of the show. So our contestants are Banjo-Kazooie, Diddy Kong Racing, and the original Donkey Kong Country. As always, there are no wrong answers. There is a right one. We'll get to that in just a minute. And admittedly, I thought this would be tough. I figured like, oh yeah, well, all 3 of these games, people love all 3 of these. It'll be a level playing field. Does not appear to be the case. One of these games took it right on the chin. A whole bunch of you had the same answer. Thank you to everyone that played. We're going to start with Mike Burks this week, who wrote in and said, I'm going to keep Donkey Kong Country because it still looks and plays great. I'm going to remake Banjo-Kazooie because we only have a few games in that franchise, and it would help us forget nuts and bolts. And then I would delete Diddy Kong Racing because there's plenty of other kart racers out there that are better as is. Sound logic all the way around, Mike. And it is like what Mike's order there, play Donkey Kong, remake Banjo, erase Diddy Kong Racing, is by far the most popular answer this week. You're right. Donkey Kong Country is perfect, doesn't need to be touched. I'm a little shocked that so many of you said you wanted to remake Banjo-Kazooie, but like Mike said, it's been a long time since we got a good new Banjo game, and helping us forget nuts and bolts exists is a great start and very interesting to me. And then erasing Diddy Kong Racing because there are better kart racers out there seems to be pretty common logic this week as well. And as someone who's never played Diddy Kong Racing, I know enough to know that that's true, that there are better kart racers. So I get the logic. Dude, I don't think we've ever seen so many people agree on one. I'm going to fly through a couple of these. Just listen to this. Amarok says, oh boy, I bet this won't be very original. Play Donkey Kong Country, remake Banjo-Kazooie, delete Diddy Kong Racing. Donkey Kong Country is a classic. Banjo-Kazooie needs a revival in proper form. Diddy Kong Racing wasn't bad, but Mario Kart is better. So there it is again. Mercury869 said, time to keep this simple. Keep Donkey Kong Country as it is. This game is fantastic and should remain in this manner. Remake Banjo-Kazooie. With the way Mario has pushed the boundaries on adventure games, Banjo-Kazooie could really become something of a masterpiece. Remove Diddy Kong Racing. I know this will get me some heat, but let's face it, this game was not as good as Mario Kart during its time. It tried some cool things with different vehicles. It had a story, but at the end of the day, I wasn't ruining lives in battle mode on this game. So that's another one. Lee Whitworth says, play Donkey Kong. It's a classic that doesn't need a remake. Doesn't need a remake or a remaster. Just stick to enjoying it how it was made. Remake Banjo-Kazooie, if only for adding voice acting to hear the banter between Kazooie and the mole. I agree with that. And unfortunately, delete Diddy Kong Racing. As much as I love it, you hear kart racing, and Nintendo will always make you think of Mario Kart. So there's another one from Lee. Corey Street. I would remake Banjo because I think this game is awesome to play with, modern graphics. I would keep Donkey Kong Country the same because it's a classic. It doesn't need to be changed. And I would get rid of Diddy Kong Racing because honestly, I was more of a Mario Kart kid growing up. But I do know that Diddy Kong Racing was an awesome game either way. And that is just a sampling of the people that said play Donkey Kong, remake Banjo, erase Diddy Kong. It is not what I would do, but I can't help but acknowledge that it is the popular opinion. Now, the unpopular opinion was to erase Donkey Kong Country, and a few people did it, and you have all been put on my revenge list. I worked at Subway, wrote it and said, oof, this is a tough one. I'll just come right out with it. Keep Banjo-Kazooie because it's perfect. Remake Diddy Kong Racing because it was the best kart racing game ever and was extremely unique due to the open worldness. And sadly, erase Donkey Kong Country simply because, to me, the sequel best sit in every conceivable way. Ooh, Subway. I can agree with you that Banjo-Kazooie is awesome. Calling Diddy Kong Racing the best kart racer ever, that's a hot take, but okay. Erasing Donkey Kong Country, though, that should be illegal. Now, while I don't agree with what you're saying, Subway, I will defend to the death your right to say it. But you've made my revenge list for erasing Donkey Kong Country. And so has Adam Anderson, who says play Banjo-Kazooie, 3D platforming perfection, remake Diddy Kong Racing, story-based kart racing is a genre that needs to return, erase Donkey Kong Country, great game, but 2D platforming has been done better elsewhere. You're not wrong, Adam, but you're on my goddamn revenge list. And speaking of my revenge list, Slick Rick says play Donkey Kong Country. It's amazing and still looks and plays great. That underwater music is sublime. And that is all you need to do here. I can semi-forgive your blatant disrespect of our rules, Rick, because you didn't erase Donkey Kong Country, but you're still on my fucking revenge list. Johnny CCDC says, this is tough for me because I've only played one of these. But I'll say play Banjo-Kazooie since people say it's some of the Nintendo 64's finest examples of platforming. Remake Donkey Kong Country because it had a near-perfect game that could benefit from its sequel's polish, and with overhauled audio and visual, it could really be next level. And then erase Diddy Kong Racing. Even though I hear it's a really good racer, I have Mario Kart and F-Zero to keep me company, both nostalgically and with current reiterations. Now, Johnny, I will agree that Banjo-Kazooie is the definitive Nintendo 64 platformer. It is that simple. But I just cannot bring myself to erase Diddy Kong Racing without playing it. And fortunately, a bunch of you felt the same way. John Quack wrote in and said, this is a straight shot square in the nostalgia for me. I never owned a console growing up, so I have very fond memories of playing these games at friends' houses. Play Donkey Kong Country. Mario did it better, but this was different, and it was Donkey Kong. Remake Diddy Kong Racing. Everyone who says Mario Kart is better isn't wrong, but they're also not right. Comparing these games is like comparing apples to apples, red and green. Both fine choices in their own right, but very different. And that leaves our beloved Banjo to be dropped into the G file to never be seen or heard from again. Sorry, old friend. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. Chris Knife 007 felt the same way. Said play Donkey Kong Country. Remake Diddy. Banjo can suck a pistol. I think telling Banjo-Kazooie to suck a pistol is a little harsh. I like that. But I do agree with this order. That's exactly what I would do. You both got it right. Shout out to Charlie Medeiros, Ninja Lunchbox 79, and Wyman Brooks for all getting it right as well. I personally would play Donkey Kong Country because I will be goddamned if I'm erasing this game. It is one of my favorite Super Nintendo games of all time, as I recently stated on my Patreon exclusive Ranking My Favorite Super Nintendo Games podcast. You can find that at patreon.com/rememberthegame. I'm not erasing it. I did consider remaking it because I'd love to see it done in like a Tropical Freeze art style, but I would rather just have a new Donkey Kong Country game than see this one remade. And there's a game I want to remake more, which is Diddy Kong Racing. Because like I said, I never played this back in the day. People swear by it. For a long time, I swore off any kart racer that wasn't Mario Kart, but playing Crash Team Racing in the last few months on my Xbox has opened my good eye to kart racing alternatives. I really do want to try Diddy Kong Racing now, but not with that fucking Nintendo 64 controller. So remake it nice and sexy, put it on the Switch so I can use my Pro controller, and you've got yourself a sale. And that means, unfortunately, I erased Banjo-Kazooie. And I love this game. I played it through for the first time last year, and I will argue to the death that it is a better platformer than Super Mario 64. I will argue that to the death. But I've played it. I'm done. I don't need it remade. I don't really feel the need to replay it. I would rather play Donkey Kong Country, so it's just a victim of circumstance. But that's it. Thank you for playing, everybody. I stress every week about not reading enough of these, but if I read too many, it'll start to kind of just all blur together and you'll space out. So keep playing. I promise you'll get on the show sooner than later, okay? Let me break down what I've been playing over the last 7 days, and then we will finally talk Donkey Kong Country 2. Guys, dude. On Sunday, I finished 2 video games in the same day. That has probably happened to me fucking 2 or 3 times in my life. And I cannot describe the sense of achievement and accomplishment I felt as I went to bed Sunday night, knocking 2 games off my backlog. I finished my second run on Resident Evil 2 Remake, because if you don't know, there are 2 characters you can play as. And once you play the game with one, then it lets you play the game with the other character and experience the other story, because they're happening simultaneously. You wouldn't fucking know that, Todd, because you've never beat Resident Evil 2, you son of a bitch. You fucking know who you are. But yeah, so I really dug it. I finished my second run, so I've played through with both characters now. Cannot recommend Resident Evil 2 Remake enough. Thank you very much for the gift, Slick Rick. I also finished Halo Reach, the campaign. It's pretty short, but really, really good. I only ever played the original Halo trilogy when they came out, 1, 2, 3, and I really want to play all of the campaigns before Halo Infinite comes out at the end of the year. And now all I have left is Halo 4 and Halo 5, and I know some people are like, I want to play them to see what happens. But I really dug Halo Reach's campaign. I recommend checking it out if you have the Master Chief Collection. I've been playing Star Fox 64 on 3DS, because that's going to be next week's episode of Remember the Game. I've also been playing Altered Beast on my Sega Genesis, because it won our Patreon Let's Play poll, and I owe you a Let's Play. I really want to be able to just beat it in one run for the Let's Play. I'm getting very close, so I think you're going to get a fucking showcase Let's Play when I record that. And then I finally fired up XCOM 2 on my gaming laptop. I bought it for like $6 on Steam, and I've been putting it off, and I finally get it now. I get why it's the crown jewel of the tactical combat genre. It is fucking awesome. I'm going to put a lot of hours into XCOM 2. Oh, yeah. And I'm going to fire up Nier Automata. Is it Automata or Automata? I don't know how the fuck you guys want me to say it. But I'm going to be firing that game up this week. It is the next game officially in my backlog. So that'll be turned on probably Thursday or Friday. Oh, and Ben, booyah, if you're listening to this, I'm just waiting for Final Fantasy V to go on sale on my on the iOS. I think I've already mentioned that, but then I'm going to download it on my iPad. It looks like it goes on sale a few times a year, so it's got to be coming up soon. As soon as that game goes on sale, Ben, I'm going to grab it, and then that will take precedence for me in my gaming backlog, and I'll beat it because I owe you an episode about it. And I promise I haven't forgotten. I'm just a cheap piece of shit, and I don't want to pay full price for that game. So there you go. That's everything I've been playing. Let's talk Donkey Kong Country 2. Diddy's Conquest. Dude, this has been a hard intro because I'm constantly saying Donkey Kong, Diddy Kong, Dixie Kong, and trying to keep track of which one I'm fucking saying at which given time. And they sound the same, but they're all different. And anyway, let's talk Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Kong Quest. There it is. I like to give you nerds a chance to sound off about what we're talking about first. Just a couple of comments from you guys. Troy wrote in and said, I didn't play any of the sequels, but can I just point out how horrible Donkey Kong's voice was in that garbage 3D animated show? My earliest childhood memory of the show was thinking how shitty his voice was. But I mean, I still watched it. Banana Slammer. Troy! Yes! I used to fucking... Oh, I'm not going to say I used to love that show, but I did used to watch that show. It was so bad. You guys just look it up. The Donkey Kong Country computer animated show from the 90s is such shit, but it's awesome. Banana Slammer. Fuck yeah. Oh, that makes me smile. Yeah, David Phillips says, I played the hell out of the first Donkey Kong Country, but never played any of the sequels. It's on my Super Nintendo Classic, and it's on my list of games that I need to play. For the love of God, David. Yes. You do. Call in sick to work tomorrow or something. Tell him I said it was okay. Fucking, it'll be fine. Go, just, yeah, find a fucking excuse. Play this game. My God, David. I was tempted to drop the band hammer, but not yet. But fucking play this game. It's so good. Leon K wrote in and just said, best game on the SNES. And I'm not technically going to agree. I'm also not going to argue with you because I would listen to that argument. It's a contender, no question. I would listen to that. It's right there with Super Mario World, Link to the Past, etc. Phenomenal. Tense Sparkster wrote in and said, Dixie Kong's guitar riff and Diddy Kong's beatboxing after beating a level gets me pumped every time. That little touch makes this game amazing. And I actually agree with you, Tense, particularly Dixie Kong's fucking rocking out on the guitar when she beats a level. I just think that's like the greatest shit. I can hear it in my head right now. I fucking love that riff. And then finally, Explode Processing wrote in and said, one of my favorite platformers of the 16-bit era, probably the first game I ever 100%ed or 102%ed because of game math. Most of those bramble and minecart stages can get fucked. Super frustrating, but in a way that you want to just try again and again and then try some more. The music and soundtrack is an amazing 11 out of 10. Keeps you pumped where needed and calm where needed. Like Rare deliberately scored tough stages with serene, calming music. Blast it. You fucking got it, Explode. Well said, my friend. Enjoy the tunes and then enjoy the lengthy chat I had with Bradley McCue about the legendary Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Kong Quest, which originally released on the Super Nintendo on November 21st, 1995. Let's go. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Everyone that listens to this podcast knows about our illustrious CEO, my dog Molly. But the other silent partner behind the scenes is my wife. And let me tell you, my friends, a 17-year relationship with another person that has to talk to and live with you is a lot harder to maintain than one with a dog. We've had our ups and downs, and as you all know, a relationship isn't all sunshine and rainbows. They can be a lot of work. You get out what you put in when it comes to relationships, and talking to a therapist can be a fantastic way to put in some work. They can help you work through your issues, learn to communicate better, and even just provide you with an ear to bend when you need it. I've talked to my therapist about my relationships, especially when it came to my stand-up comedy career and how much I was away from home, and they helped me work on ways to keep my relationship strong even when I was out on the road. It turned out our relationship was actually better when I was out on the road, but that's a story for another day. And I know, right? Therapy. Who has the time these days? BetterHelp hears you, and they're making it easy. Fill out a quick form online, and they'll match you up with a therapist that suits your needs and that'll work around your schedule. You pick the meet times, and you can get your therapy fix from anywhere, over video, phone, or just chat. Become your own soulmate, whether you're looking for one or not. Visit BetterHelp.com/rememberthegame today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/rememberthegame. joining me via the blank phone this week is a longtime guest on the show, longtime friend of mine, Patreon supporter, an all-around pretty good dude, my good friend, Mr. Bradley McCue. How's life, pal?
Not too shabby, I gotta say. I got to sit around and play some Donkey Kong Country this week, so I really don't have any complaints.
Dude, so here's the thing, man. It's funny. I don't know when this episode will go live, but we're recording this on January 29th, and I tweeted out today on the 29th, about to sit down with my pal Bradley and record an episode, and I said this might be the best retro game that we have not covered on the show. And that's an incredibly subjective argument because there are some great games that we haven't covered on the show. But I don't care what anyone says. I will dig in my heels. I will die on this hill. If Donkey Kong Country 2 is not the best game we haven't covered on the show yet, it's top 3. Donkey Kong Country, you all know I'm a platforming junkie. You all know I'm a Super Nintendo junkie. You all know I'm a Donkey Kong junkie. And then when you package all 3 of those things together, throw in a little bit of Dixie Kong, who is my favorite Kong ever, this game is spectacular. There's no Angry Adam this week. This game is magnificent, Bradley.
I agree. This game is unbelievably good. And you know what? I've thought about this for a long time, and I figured out what it is that makes this game fun. Particularly like this Donkey Kong Country entry. Think about like Donkey Kong Country 1 and 3. What is like the one thing that you hate about those games? It's having to play as those fucking big clunky characters.
I wanted to
like
say
Donkey Kong and Kiddy Kong. They suck.
I wanted to say that, but I didn't. I was like, I don't want to shit on Donkey. Like Kiddy Kong, yeah, Kiddy Kong can go fist himself. But I was like, I don't want to shit on Donkey Kong. But you are right. In the original Donkey Kong Country, every chance you have to play as Diddy, you're playing as Diddy.
You're taking it. So what if both characters are Diddy?
Yes, agreed.
So it's absolutely perfect. And not only that, but Dixie Kong also has like a glide maneuver, which makes her actually control a little bit better than Diddy Kong.
Brad, that's okay, so you nailed it. So when I played the original Donkey Kong Country, I have probably beaten that game 24 times. Like, I love that video game. I played it so much as a kid. It was like I knew every level. I love that game. And then when Donkey Kong Country,
probably the one I'm the most familiar with, for sure.
But then when this one came out, I never owned this one as a kid, so I didn't get to play it till the Wii Virtual Console, and that's where I played it. And then I played it over and over and over and over, and I've played it so many times since. And I agree with you. Like, so Diddy Kong is the star of the first one. So then when I saw that he was the man in the second one, I was like, well, that's fucking rad because he's the best character. And then I thought, like, even having never played as Dixie Kong, I've always just thought she looks like a really cool character. Like the pink hat and the big blonde ponytail. I just think she looks really cool. Like, I still to this moment think she's the coolest looking Kong character ever created.
I'm a Cranky Kong man myself, but I think Dixie Kong's up there.
I got mad love for Cranky too. He's my number 2 by mile. I love Cranky. But then when I sat down to play it, and I was thinking like, well, the only thing is I hope they don't play both like Diddy, because like that was one of the rad things about the original Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Country 3, because I owned 1 and 3 as a kid. I never got 2. I love the idea of having the little fast character and then the big strong character, because it's a great mechanic, right? But then with Dixie Kong, they're like, well, she can just lift barrels over her head with her ponytail, so we don't need to have a big, slow, hunkering fucking slog of a character, but we still give you the ability to either carry the barrel in front of you or lift the barrel up over your head, which at times is a very important gameplay mechanic. And I was like, what a clever way to give you a character that can do the strong stuff without actually making them strong. Like,
we're still making the gameplay fluid.
They both handle different, right? Like, and that's the key. That's always the coolest thing and that's, to me, that's one of the biggest step ups from the original Donkey Kong Country to Country 2. Not only the 2 characters handle different, but I love the way that they added like the tag team moves into this one.
Yeah. Like you could throw the other character upwards so that you could grab onto a hook that's out of range.
Yeah. Like if I have,
there's tons of cool stuff like that.
Yeah. If I have a criticism of Donkey Kong Country the first, it's that there's no way for the 2 characters to, like, other than the high fives they do, which is cool, they don't interact with each other. Whereas, like in this one, you can pick up, the other monkey and then whip them across the room or whip them up to hooks or up onto a platform or into a barrel or something. And that adds a whole new level of gameplay. This is real, dude. There are some games where they make a sequel and you're like, this isn't quite as good as the first one. And there's a lot of those. But then there's other games where they make a sequel and you're like, fucking right, you did what we wanted you to do. You took the engine of the first game and you just polished it up and made it better. And this game, oh my God, Bradley.
You know what I was thinking about with this game the other day? I was thinking about like the nervous like Nintendo power writer who was like, wait, you're telling me you want me to announce a new Donkey Kong Country game is coming and Donkey Kong's not going to be in it?
Yeah.
Oh, people aren't going to like that.
You know what? I thought about that and like, because it is a ballsy move. Like, because the thing about it is like, for any of you that don't know, just quickly, in the original Donkey Kong Country, Cranky Kong, the old monkey that yells at you and gives you shit all the time, that's the Donkey Kong from the arcade games. He's old now and shriveled up. And then Donkey Kong is like, this is his, like, now you're the guy. Like, you are Donkey Kong. I think he might be Donkey Kong Jr. from the old games, but I'm not 100% sure about that.
I'm fairly sure that that's what it is.
But you're right. They gave him the role and they were like, we have a new franchise on our hands, Donkey Kong Country. And then it took one game before they took him away. And you know what this is? And I'm Angry Adam's not coming out because this is a happy episode. But Donkey Kong Country 2 is what Mario is Missing should have been. You took your protagonist went missing, and then the side character becomes the star. This is what it should have been. Everything that was wrong with Mario's Missing is right with this game. And you're right, it's like an incredibly bold move.
Should have just been like a Super Mario World game.
With Luigi. Yes.
Yeah.
That's all it should have been. And that's what this was. And I agree with you. I remember being a little bit hesitant to be like, well, what the fuck? I wanted to play as Donkey Kong. Like, admittedly, I'm kind of floored that they didn't make this Donkey Kong and Dixie Kong rescuing Diddy Kong. Like,
yeah, that's true, actually. That's it. That's an interesting thought.
Because then Dixie could have just handled like Diddy, but give her the hairspin. And Donkey Kong is still Donkey Kong. But I have to imagine that probably like you and I have already just said like 300 times, everyone that played the first Donkey Kong Country was like, well, Diddy's the guy. Like, this guy's the star. So then they were like, all right, if you all like Diddy Kong so much, here's his own fucking game. And,
well, and I also like to imagine I'm sure at Rareware, this was not an easy decision to come to. I'm sure there were screaming arguments about whether or not to include Donkey Kong as a playable character in this game.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. You know what? You know what's always bothered me about that? Always is
what's that?
So not a lot. I think most people would still say that Donkey Kong Country 3 is a good game, and it is a good game. But
it's fine.
But nobody likes Kiddy Kong. Nobody likes that fucking big idiot. It will bother me until the end of time that Donkey Kong Country 3 wasn't Donkey Kong and Dixie Kong saving Diddy. Like, that will bother me forever. Because I was like, you made another Donkey Kong and put him in the game. Like, why not just give us Donkey Kong? Like, I assume they wanted to create more characters because the more characters you have, the more you can do with all, like, a universe and everything. But I was
at the time, too, there was a TV show. So I'm sure that's where a lot of the characters came into play, too.
I like that show.
I actually don't mind it. It looks like shit now. But
yeah, yes. But
it was fun for the time.
I liked that show, yeah. So this game obviously is Diddy and Dixie Kong. And even if you just like, we'll get into the whole mechanics of the two monkeys and all that kind of stuff. But even if you take those two monkeys out of this, say it had been Diddy and Donkey Kong again, it had been all the exact same game. They just took everything the first game did and made it better. Like, the levels are bigger. There's more exploration involved. The overworld is better. I can't, outside of the fact that you can't use Donkey Kong, which I don't even know if that's a bad thing. I can't think of one thing that Donkey Kong Country 2 did not improve on its predecessor with. Not one thing.
And what I like about this game is that while it's similar in its layout, they very clearly didn't just want to make the same shit again.
Yeah.
And a good example of that is that this game has no minecart races in it. There's no minecart levels in this game, which was like the most popular shit in the first game. So again, I think that's a pretty ballsy move, but they replaced it with the roller coaster levels, which I debatably like quite a bit more.
Me too. And I will say I like the minecart levels in the original Donkey Kong, but I really like the roller coaster levels in this one. I can't agree with you more, man. I love that mechanic.
It feels a little bit more real because, like, at what point is a gamer really going to be in a mine shaft?
Yeah.
Never. This feels a bit more real because a fucking theme park, that's actually some shit that's going to exist that people have to go to. Like,
yeah. I love everything this game does. I like that they take more. You have more animal friends in this one.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I don't know, and I'm trying to remember because the 3 Donkey Kong games kind of blend together, but I'm 90% sure that when you, like in the first Donkey Kong Country, when you find an animal, you just ride the animal. Whereas in this one, don't you turn into the animal when you find it?
It depends on the animal. Some of them you ride, like you ride the spider and you ride the. No. You ride them. You ride them. You ride all of them.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's just right. You just hit the stop sign and then they disappear. That's all it is.
There's a boss fight in the game though, where you have to play as the parrot and you don't get Donkey or Diddy Kong or Dixie Kong because it would make it too hard to have to like expand your hitbox, I think.
Right. Fucking Squawks. I hate that little fucking I hate that fucking bird.
Yeah, he's the worst of all of them. He controls the worst. I like the swordfish the best, I think.
Oh, me too. Yeah. Oh, hey, another quick shout out. You guys know how I feel about swimming levels. Swimming levels suck and they shouldn't exist and I hate them. The swimming levels in Donkey Kong Country games are actually tolerable.
Yeah, they don't fucking blow it, dude.
They're not too bad. And when you get the swordfish, it's magnificent because now you don't have to tap the button. You just use up, down, left, right, and jab. It's fucking. You're right. Yeah, I think his name's on guard, and he's the best. He's the best animal.
100% my favorite. I also really like the rhino. Yeah, which I'm pretty sure like there's like a precursor to that bee boss fight where you play as the parrot, where you actually are playing as the rhino as well. That's like right before that boss fight.
Yeah, I like him too.
Which is cool. And you know what? This game has fucking unbelievably cool bosses.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. I want to because there's one animal I want to shit on. I hate the snake. I hate that fucking thing with every ounce of my being.
The spring?
Yeah, and it's not because I hate snakes, because I actually am not afraid I'm afraid of bees. I don't like any bee, but I don't have a problem with snakes. But I hate the way that fucking snake controls, the way it kind of boing, boing, and you got to time. I like the spider. I think he's a cool new addition. But the fucking snake can suck. I hate him. So that's why that's why I won't get a perfect 10, because the snake sucks.
I haven't played the original in a long time. Is the rhino in both?
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
In the original, there's the rhino, the swordfish, the frog, and the ostrich. And I don't think and I think the frog and ostrich don't come back in this one. I don't think.
No, they don't. No.
But you get the snake and the spider. I think the spider is fucking awesome. Awesome.
And the parrot, who we all hate.
Yeah, the parrot fucking sucks. But you had mentioned the bosses. Yes, I agree with you. Some of the dude, because admittedly, if there's like the bosses in the original Donkey Kong Country are pretty lame.
They're a little slapped together, I think.
They're like stationary screen, and they're all in the same screen where you're just fighting them in front of a bunch of bananas, and they double up. Like you fight the beaver twice, you fight the ostrich head twice. It's kind of, I think you fight the bee twice. It's kind of lame. Whereas in this one, there's some fucking rad. So I played this game on my 24-hour charity stream a couple months ago, and I was playing this game right near the end. I was at like hour 20, so it's a little foggy.
So you were seeing fucking tracers, dude. You'd been up for 25 hours.
Yeah, I was exhausted, and I still got to the I don't think we got to K. Rool. I think I got to like the level before K. Rool, and then I was like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. That's too tired.
That's pretty close though.
Yeah, because like this game's not easy, but we'll get into that in a minute. The boss fights, I specifically remember thinking like, dude, these boss fights are infinitely better than the ones in Donkey Kong Country 1. Infinitely better.
Absolutely, I agree. The first one is like the parrot, who's like the pirate, and I would say this is probably the most basic of them all, but it's the first boss, so it's like whatever.
Yeah.
But then the second boss is actually my favorite boss in the game, and it's just like a possessed sword.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of. Yes.
This is my favorite one in the entire game because it forces you to employ like a different type of strategy where you have to jump back and forth between the two platforms while still maintaining, like holding onto a cannonball to throw at them.
Yeah, like if you've never fought this boss, it literally is just like a giant flying pirate sword, and you fight him in like a lava cavern, and there's two platforms on either end of the map, and then in the middle it's just lava. and then there's a bunch
Yeah.
of hooks, and you have to like, so you hit him with a cannonball because cannonballs are laying around, and then he comes after you swinging his sword, and you basically have to jump across the lava using these hooks to the other side to pick up another. And yeah, dude, that's exactly the boss I was thinking of. I think that boss is fucking awesome. Awesome.
It's my favorite one. I don't love the bee. I don't love the bee one where you have to play as the parrot. I actually hate that one.
Yeah. I think it's just because I mean, dude, nothing, dude. That's the perfect storm of hate for me because I don't like the parrot and I hate bees. So that boss fight, that whole every level where you're in the beehives I think they're incredibly well done. They're really creative, but I find them to be the hardest levels in the fucking game.
Oh, I agree. I agree with that a lot. I was actually going to say that myself. Those levels are so hard. But here's the thing: is that you had mentioned this a little, like pretty briefly. The whole fucking thing's pretty hard.
Dude. So like, it's funny though because like everyone talks about how difficult the Donkey Kong Country games are, and Donkey Kong Country Returns is difficult. Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze is that game. You earn your dinner at that game.
I've never beat Tropical Freeze. I've beat every other one, but I've never beat Tropical Freeze. It's so fucking hard.
Yeah, I'm gonna just quickly flex for all the hot dogs. I have 200%ed Tropical Freeze twice.
Hell yeah.
That game is my bitch, but I love that. It is hard. But the original, everyone talks about how hard the very first Donkey Kong Country is, and I don't think it's easy, but I used to beat it as a kid, and I can beat it now, like standing on my head. I don't find that game that hard.
I don't find the first one that hard either.
Me neither. But playing this one, and admittedly, I was on like 24 hours of no sleep the last time I played it. But there were a few levels, particularly near the end, which is where they should be. It should get harder as you play. But this game will work you if you don't get good. There's no half-assing your way through this game. It gets fucking... Considering that you would think the Donkey Kong Country games are designed for children, in theory... this game fucking will wreck you. It is hard, man.
Absolutely. But here's the issue with how difficult this, and I would even say like, I would throw the first game and the third game into this as well, is that while it's very difficult, it never feels, like undoable. It never feels like you can't do it. And you know damn fucking well you can do it. You just got to do it.
Yeah.
And so like you'll die at the same point over and over again, but you always have that mindset of like, okay, this time we got it. We got it for sure. And you're always wrong usually.
And very, very rarely do I feel this game is cheap. And I know that I throw that word around way too much. When a game beats me, if anyone has watched one of my Twitch streams or one of my Let's Plays, you know that like, this is cheap. Even if it's not cheap in the least and I just suck, it's not my fault, it's cheap. But this game, the only times that I kind of feel like this game is cheap is frankly the beehive levels where I at times have a hard time figuring out where I can land and where what I can do and what I can't do.
There was a level that I really, really hated specifically that I took note of because I'm like, this level is so awful.
I bet you were thinking of the same level. I just want to see what you say. Sorry, go ahead.
Are you thinking of Slime Climb?
No, but that level, I actually really like that level. That level is fucking hard.
It is so fucking hard. And I hated playing it so much because essentially the way Slime Climb works is it's a vertical level where you're having to go up basically like pirate sails, which by the way, this game has a pirate theme for some reason and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is.
But you have to go up these pirate sails, but the water continually rises. And if so much as a toe dips into that water, a piranha immediately comes and murders you.
Yeah.
Like it's not even like you get a second. It's not like it's like, oh shit, I'm in the water, better get out. No, it's immediately you're murdered. And every time you get hit by anything, even if you have both, you're going to end up falling so far the fuck down.
Yeah.
That it doesn't matter if you have both, you're dead.
Yeah, you know what I would have liked in that is like, because I got to be honest, I like game levels like that where you're either climbing up or you're running away and something is either like coming up from behind you and trying to kill you and you can't look back. I enjoy those levels, but I agree with you. The problem is you can get a huge lead on the rising water in that game or slime, whatever. And if you make a misstep and fall or get hit or something, you're fucked because you just go. And I think it would have been nice if they had put it in where like you could fucking like Dixie could save you somehow or like something. Like, I agree with you. At the end of the day, it's not cheap. It's telling you, like, well, don't fuck up and you won't die. But I agree with you. You fall so far, man. Like
they explain the rules very clearly, and it's my fault for not getting them.
Mm-hmm. I totally get what I like that level or those levels, but I absolutely get what you're saying.
Which one were you thinking of, though, that you really hate?
The one level in this game, and as soon as I got to it on my playthrough on that stream, I was like, fuck me. There's a level, and I think there's actually a couple of them, but there's one in particular that stands out to me, where you're in like a vineyard, and you're in like the sky, and everything is just thorny vines, and you've got to like barrel. And the thing is, I liked the barrel levels in the original. One that sticks out to my mind in the original Donkey Kong Country is the one where it's like a total whiteout blizzard and you're trying to shoot through these barrels. And it's really challenging, but I like it. The reason I don't like the thorn level is because I don't find the timing of the barrels difficult. You just get lost and you can't figure out what barrel leads to what barrel leads you to your way out. And there's nowhere to kill you because you're like, if you're even remotely good, you're not going to misfire and shoot yourself into the thorns. It's just monotonous, tedious, trying to figure out how the fuck to get out of this area. And I hate it.
You know what else though? Just on that note, is that those thorn levels suck also because I don't know if I buy that such an area would exist. Whereas like an area where there's a blizzard happening, I buy that.
Yeah, that there's just like a sky full of thorns. Like, you're like, oh yeah, never go. Oh yeah, don't go up there. What's that?
Yeah, where the fuck are we? And here's the thing: why didn't we just go around this?
Yeah, that's thorns through the sky. Why don't you just go around it? Like, no, we'll go right through the middle. This will be fine. We'll be fine. That level. And that's not just a Donkey Kong Country 2 thing. Any level and any game where there's not really a way to die. And I know there is technically a way to die in those thorn levels if you misfire, but it's incredibly easy not to misfire into the thorns. Any level where there's not really a way to die, there's no time limit, it's just tedious, try to find your way through, I don't enjoy them. I'm like, make it less of a maze and more of a, like, that's why I like the Blizzard levels, because there's no maze, it's just difficult. I like that. When there's no difficulty and it's just trying to find my way through, I'm like, this is boring. So there's one in particular, one of those vine levels that just sticks in my craw, and it's the one level in the game that I'm like, suck my balls. Is it
the one where you have to like go back and forth between using Diddy Kong and Dixie Kong and using the fucking parrot?
Yes, it is. Yes,
because I hate that.
Yeah, that's the only level in the game that really irritates me. Because like this game gets I felt maybe the first one got a little more creative as far as stuff like the stop and go barrels and the turning on lights and some of the like the minecart levels where the cart you were on would run out of oil and fall through if you didn't pick up more gas for it and stuff like that. I felt like there was a little bit more creativity in the first one, but I just think for the most part, the level design is much tighter in this one and the levels are bigger and more fun to play.
Yeah, well, in this game, we had mentioned it a little bit earlier, but this game has way more in terms of secrets.
Yes.
And like little things that you can find. Like I remember like just a couple of days ago, like to prepare for this, I was just sort of watching a playthrough online and I was like, oh, these guys know a bunch of shit I don't know.
Yeah. I've never been a huge... Like, I've never 100%ed a Donkey Kong Country. Well, the original trilogy, like where you have to find all the secret exits and stuff. Because or the bonus levels and things.
Yeah, I was gonna ask because I know that this game has a secret ending if you do everything.
Yeah, I would like to sit down and do that, but I've never really worried about it. One thing I love that this game introduced that the first one didn't have is the DK coins that you collect.
Oh, yeah.
Because the first game didn't have that. In this one, not only does this game have maybe it's Donkey Kong Country 3 that has the...
No, this one has the DK coins.
Yeah, I think 3 is the one where they're not just floating there. They're actually in like a Kremling shield, and you got to find a way to hit them from behind to get the coin out. But
that
in
sounds
this,
vaguely familiar, but I haven't played the third one in forever.
yeah, I played the third one after it came to Switch, and I was like, now I'm trying to keep them straight. But this one just has DK coins floating somewhere. And that I like. I like that more than I like the idea of finding all the secret exits just to get a bunch of like bananas or coins that I don't need anymore. But I love I love looking for the DK coin in every level because they're very creatively placed in a lot of these levels. Very creatively placed. I love that idea. Love
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. Absolutely. One thing, just something that I think is funny that I'll mention is that every time I play this game, and it's not like this isn't like the hardest game that I play, but just because of how intense and like because it's a platformer that's difficult, you basically have to be paying attention at all times to what your hands are doing.
Yeah.
And so whenever I play this game, and it's always this one, it's never the first one or the third one or whatever. It's always this one. My hand gets really fucked up from playing it. Like my right hand will like cramp up for like days.
Oh, really?
Days. Yeah. Like I'll go to work and people will be like, why do you have a claw? And I'm like, it's not on purpose. I'm just playing Donkey Kong Country 2 right now.
Well, it's you know what? I kind of get that because like there's something about I kind of agree with you actually, Bradley. There's something about Donkey Kong Country 2 that is just more intense. Donkey Kong Country 1 is just a platformer, and Donkey Kong Country 3 is very exploration based. You've got like an actual overworld where you can kind of go to. I'd like to do an episode on Donkey Kong Country 3 someday, but you actually like explore this overworld, and there's like mini games where you trade items with other characters and stuff like that. Donkey Kong Country 2 is just an intense platforming game with a lot of those scrolling levels. You know, scrolling levels or levels where they're coming up from the bottom, or there's a few of the underwater levels where you have to jump on the walrus and then he spits water out to like make the water not hot, I guess,
red,
or something.
yeah.
And you're right. This game, you cannot let your guard down in Donkey Kong Country 2. Very rarely can you just put the controller down and take a break. It's just constant. And I get that. I understand that. It's a very, very intense platformer.
Yeah.
More so than the other two.
Now, here's the thing. I would love to sit here and jerk this game off because I really love this game. But there is something that I have to mention that I think really sucks about this game.
What's that?
The fucking save system is awful. It's so bad.
Yeah.
The way the save works in this game, for anyone who doesn't know, is that essentially what you have to do is that you have to pay for your saves. And if you game over, you go back to the last time you saved. But because you have to pay for them, you can't save after every level. But if you fucking beat a level and then couldn't afford to pay for a save and then you played the next level and gamed over, now you have to go back and replay that fucking hard level that you couldn't afford to save after. And guess what? If you couldn't afford to save after this time, you probably couldn't afford to save again.
Now,
so you're going to have to memorize these levels in a painstaking way.
So now, okay, so on one hand, agreed. I like now we got to remember that like this game is a product of its time. Like save files and save points as a whole, I think most of us can agree have become like an archaic game mechanic. It should just be allowed to save wherever you want. And I will say this game's on the Nintendo Switch Online. Play it on there, and then you can just save anytime you want. Like it's easier.
Yeah, and to be honest, that's what I did this time because I'm like, I'm not replaying fucking levels this time.
So, but I do agree with you. I don't like the idea of having to pay to save. But now I will say, I never found myself hurting for cash in this game. I always had just so much money. Like after the first, but maybe that's because in the first couple worlds, I'm looking for all the Donkey Kong coins. So I'm playing the levels over and over and over again. And I just keep picking up coins and picking up coins. And then I found that I had so much money that my beef with the saving isn't so much the money. Cause I know though, if I ever found myself out of cash, my problem with the saving, and this was my problem with the first Donkey Kong Country game, is that when you get to a new world.
Yes. I knew you were going to say
you've
this.
You don't know where the save point, like to me, the save point should be the first destination on each level, on each world's map. So you can save as soon as you get to a new world. But you've got to fight sometimes through 3-4 levels before you can save. That to me is my bigger problem. And the same was with the first Donkey Kong Country. You can't so if you can't beat this first level and then you die, you've got to go back to midway through the last level or whatever you saved in the last world. And then you
have to fight the boss again.
And then you got to fight the boss again. And that's my big problem, is that I wish that they would just why put the save point in the middle of the fucking world where I have to fight my way to it? I agree with you in that I don't like the save file. I just don't like it for a different reason. But I do agree with you. The saving is kind of a pain in the ass.
You know what, though? What you've just said, actually, it actually makes more sense than what I said. So,
But either way, it's now I will say I like the way that they expanded the stuff you could do on the map. Because in the first game, you could go visit Candy Kong, which was Donkey Kong's girlfriend, and save. And then you could go visit Cranky Kong and he'd yell at you. And then Funky Kong would fly you around and nobody ever used him. But in this one, there's the game show. And I don't really like Swanky Kong, the guy that hosts it. But I do like the game show mechanic that you can go to.
I like Swanky Kong.
Swanky Kong he looks like Saul Goodman. If Saul Goodman was on Donkey Kong Country. I don't know if I care for him, but I like that you can play these little, his little game shows and win extra lives and stuff like that, especially near the end of the game. When I was playing it on my 24-hour stream, I was actually running out of lives, and I went to his game show and just stocked up. And I was like, fucking A, because it's not hard to win lives off of him at all. At all.
Yeah.
But I really like that they just added a couple more things to that overworld.
And then they added... one thing that I really like that they added is that they added the bonus levels that you can pay the Kremling to unlock.
Yes.
And you pay in Donkey Kong coins. And to be honest, those Donkey Kong coins are pretty well hidden. Mm-hmm. So I never had enough to do all of them. Yeah. But the few levels that I did do were really good.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of any platformer or any game like this that makes something collectible, because the Donkey Kong coins are collectible, one per level. They get progressively much, much, much harder to find, but the reward for finding them is paying this giant Kremling to let you into these really difficult bonus levels. And I love that. I love that mechanic in any of these games.
Absolutely. And nobody does collectibles quite like Rareware, I don't think.
Fuck. Isn't that I guess, yeah, with the trilogy of these Donkey Kong games and then Banjo-Tooie. Yeah, you're right. And then
Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Donkey Kong 64, which one Donkey Kong game that's the Echo the Dolphin of Donkey Kong games.
I don't even count it. When people are asking me what the best Donkey Kong or what the worst Donkey Kong game is, I'm like, it's Donkey Kong 3 because I don't count 64.
Yeah, I hate that game. Oh yeah, dude, this game introduces Cranky Kong's wife too. Wrinkly Kong.
Right.
And she's the nice old lady that is at school that gives you advice and stuff. I think that's where you save actually, is with Wrinkly. Or is it Cranky that you save at?
Yeah, I think you save in no, Cranky runs a museum of sorts where he tells you how to fight the bosses.
Right, that's right. Yeah. Oh.
And then I think you do save with Wrinkly, but you can buy other things from Wrinkly that are
right. Yeah, that's right.
Kind of not useful.
Yeah. I have such a hard on for Cranky Kong. You mentioned him off the top. Dixie is my favorite Kong, period. But Cranky Kong, from the first game right up through this, and the way he yells at you and tells you suck and he would have done it better and blah 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 blah. What a and the fact that he's the original Donkey Kong just makes my heart swell. I just think he's the greatest fucking what a great fucking character. I actually don't like I like that you can play as him in Tropical Freeze. I don't like that they make him kind of nice. He's smiling and having fun. He's Cranky Kong. Make him be for fuck's sakes, I'll do it. Make him that.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
I agree.
But they really tried to expand the Kong universe over these games, and sometimes for the best and sometimes for the worst. But I agree with you. Outside of Dixie and maybe Diddy, because Diddy Kong has become, I think, there's a reason Diddy Kong is in Smash and everything. Diddy Kong is a staple of Nintendo's lineup now.
You know what's interesting though, and it's a thought that I just had. So Cranky Kong has been a video game character forever, since 1980 when the original Donkey Kong came out.
Yeah,
and it took until Tropical Freeze, which I think was 2013, for him to ever be playable.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's never playable. Like the first two, or the first and third Donkey Kong you play as Mario, and then the second one you play as Donkey Kong Jr.
Yeah. No, you're right. He is never playable. So, but then when did you remember like they had like a big press event and they had a big announcement and there one more thing and then it was Cranky Kong will be playable in Tropical Freeze and everyone was like, what? That's your big, but I agree with you. Part of me was like, fucking hey, I can play as Cranky Kong. I love Cranky Kong.
I was more excited about that than the Sephiroth in Smash reveal.
Like I always visit him in this game just to let him yell at me. And I can't remember if he does it. I can't remember if he does it in this one because these all kind of blend together to me. But I remember in the first game, you could go into he would sit at his cabin and he'd be sitting out front in his rocking chair and you'd stand there and he'd yell at you and he would hit you with his cane. And you would hear Diddy or Donkey Kong be like, ah, ah, and he'd like hit them with the cane and then you'd leave. I can't remember if he does that in this one, but he's just such a great character. He's so funny.
At the end of the first one, he does like a bit of a monologue where he's like, I'm super proud of you. And you're like, you know what? I fucking earned this.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes you feel good. You're like, oh, I got Cranky Kong's approval. That feels nice.
Yeah. You know, like when you get approval of somebody who's just like a genuinely nice person and you're like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. But then like somebody who's a dick is like, good job. And you're like, oh my God, thank you.
Yeah, I fucking love him. But like I say though, I also love Diddy and Dixie. I have been on the fucking bandwagon for years that Dixie Kong, I will not stop saying it until she's in Smash Brothers or Smash Brothers is no longer. I want Dixie Kong in Smash. And this game
I think it's not going to be Smash Ultimate, but I think she's got to be in the next one.
Listen, dude, a second you and I just like, so when you play the first Donkey Kong Country, I think we're both in agreement, as probably most people are, you spend as much of the game as possible controlling Diddy Kong. But when you play this one, and I'm going to ask you, and if you disagree with me, say so, but I cannot fathom that you don't treat Dixie Kong in this game the way you treated Diddy Kong in the first. Every chance you can beat Dixie, every time you can play as Dixie, you're going to, right? Every time.
Yeah.
And to me, 90% of it is because of the hairspin.
Being able to like clear larger gaps, it's a huge get.
Or like when you're just doing something that's very precise platforming and being able to like so like if you've never played Donkey Kong Country 2, Dixie Kong spins in circles and her ponytail works as like a propeller and she like floats down. Yeah. Just like how like in Super Mario World, when you have the cape, you can float down and kind of place your landing better. Dixie Kong does that. And the thing about it, like Donkey Kong Country games, dude, you fall, like they have a great sense of gravity. You fall in these games fast. Oh, yeah. And there's a lot of levels, particularly those fucking beehive levels, where you've got to fall kind of down like gaps. And there's bees kind of floating in the air, and if you touch one, you'll die. And to do it as Diddy Kong is borderline impossible because he can't spin. He can't slowly glide down. Whereas Dixie Kong, you're like, this is a walk in the park. Like she's just... forget the fact that I think she looks cool. Her gameplay mechanics, she's fucking awesome. I love everything about her.
It's way more fun.
Yeah. And then like her actual like standing attack is she just spins her, like I don't know what the fuck she uses in her hair, but that she spins and her ponytail is like a weapon. She's like the fucking I love Dixie Kong so much. Every level that you beat. Remember in the first game when you'd beat a level, whichever monkey you were controlling when you beat the level, that's whose head would show up on the map. Yeah. And it's the same thing in this one, except you don't just run through an exit and leave. You jump on that target, and then if you hit the target hard enough, you get to do like a little celebration thing.
Oh, yeah, she pulls out a guitar.
Oh, like in Diddy's is cool because Diddy turns his hat backwards and puts on shades and has like a boombox on his shoulder and like rocks out. And it's cool. But Dixie Kong takes out an electric guitar and just fucking shreds for a minute.
Starts shredding, dude.
And I love, like, every chance I have to switch to Dixie Kong at the end of a level, I'm going to switch to Dixie Kong because I love that animation so much. She's just such a fucking cool character. I'm a lot disappointed that they haven't done more with her, frankly. A lot disappointed.
Yeah, to be honest, it's a heresy because she is playable in Tropical Freeze, right?
As someone that like knows that game inside and out, it's impossible without Dixie Kong. Like every chance, because you can, it's like, not to get too off of Donkey Kong Country 2, but if you've never played Tropical Freeze, you only control Donkey Kong, and then you can get Cranky, Diddy, or Dixie, and they'll ride on your back, and you get their powers. And Diddy, you get like the booster pack that'll kind of shoot you up in the air. Cranky can do the DuckTales style like pogo bounce. Dixie can do the hair twirl to float, and it's a godsend. Like that hair twirl mechanic is the single best mechanic in any Donkey Kong game.
Is that really how that game operates? I haven't played that game in a long time, but can you really only play as Donkey Kong in Tropical Freeze?
Yeah, your
sucks.
Well, so your sidekick rides on your back, but then when you do the 200% mode, like when you play through it again on hard mode, I thought it'd be impossible because one hit kills you when you play it on super hard mode. Because when you play it on regular mode, if you have a sidekick on your back and you get hit, you lose your sidekick, but you keep controlling Donkey Kong. When you play it in hard mode, you get one hit and that's it. But if you find a barrel for Cranky, Diddy, or Dixie, then you just become them and you control them. And I beat basically the entire hard mode in that game with just Dixie Kong. Because you have to get through all those levels without getting hit once. And Dixie Kong,
shit.
yeah, well,
Fuck.
It sounds impossible, but Dixie makes it totally playable. Like it really sincerely, maybe my biggest gripe with any mainstream Nintendo franchise is that Dixie Kong doesn't get more screen time, because I just think she's the coolest character in the franchise.
Give her due, Nintendo. You fucks.
Like, do something with her. Put her in Smash. Put her in Mario Kart. Put another Diddy Kong Racing out. Put her in that. Something.
Oh, I would like that. Oh, I like where we're going with that.
So she's awesome. And then obviously, like, Diddy Kong, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't feel like, outside of being able to do moves where you can, like, use Dixie Kong and, like, throw her and vice versa, I think Diddy Kong plays identical to how he played in the first one.
Yeah, I think it's the same sprite. Like, it's very, very similar.
Yeah, I think they just right-click saved as on Diddy Kong from the first one and put him into this. But I love that, because as someone that played the first one religiously, it felt like an old, like, he feels like, don't change it. It's not broken, don't change it. It felt like an old friend. Like, he felt exactly how I remembered him feeling.
Control C, Control V.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, like, to me, there's two things about the Donkey Kong Country games at the end of the day that really stand out to me. And one is the controls. It's so funny because they're tight, but they don't feel constricting at all. Does that make sense? Like, they feel loose, but they handle tight. I don't know how else to explain it.
No, I actually agree. I would almost put Donkey Kong Country, like, especially because I just played it, sort of in like a pantheon of nearly perfect control.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Like,
I feel like I'm in control of my character at any time, and if there's a fuck up, that's my fault.
Yeah, I will put the Donkey Kong Country games right alongside, like, this is the highest praise I can pay a game. I put the Donkey Kong Country games side by side with Mario as far as the controlling and the platforming goes. Like, they're that tight. They feel perfect.
That is high praise. That is high praise. The problem with this game is that not the problem, but the nice thing about this game is that it's hard, but it's not cheap.
Not at all. No. And this kind of ties into my second real big sticking point with the Donkey Kong Country games. I think the reason they feel tight but loose at the same time is because of the art style and the graphics. When you play a Mario game, and I'm thinking Super Nintendo, specifically Super Mario World or Yoshi's Island, like, they're both good-looking games. Yoshi's Island in particular is beautiful, but
stunning.
But they're clearly, like, two-dimensional. Everything's outlined in black. Do you know what I mean? Like that classic 2D platformer. Whereas this game kind of feels like a false 3D. And I feel like maybe that's why the controls feel looser. It's just because everything feels more loose. Everything's more vibrant and almost blurry in a way, but in a good way.
It almost feels a bit more real than a Mario game.
Yeah, I am telling you, like, I'm looking at some screenshots of Donkey Kong Country 2. There's the odd person, and you see them online. If you Google it, I promise you'll see people saying this. There are some people that don't think these games have aged well graphically. I cannot disagree with you more. And that's coming from, right? And that's coming from someone that has a borderline fetish for 2D 16 and 8-bit like pixel art. This is not pixel art. This is a 3D game squished flat into a 2D game. I don't know exactly how they do it, but I think these games look fucking spectacular. Like,
yeah, absolutely. Like the character models are unbelievable.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the background of the very first level right now, because that's just a picture on the Wikipedia page, and there's like that beautiful kind of green blue shade of water that just goes off into the distance with the skies behind you. And then you're on a pirate ship, and the pirate ship looks 3D, but you can only move on a 2D plane. And they're just... I think that the Donkey Kong Country games, they might be the best looking games on the Super Nintendo. They might be. They might be.
I don't know. I mentioned this off podcast, but I'm playing Chrono Trigger right now, and fuck me, that game is good looking.
Sure it is, but Chrono Trigger's a lot like the Final Fantasies, a lot like the Marios, and the fact that it's got that pixel art with the black outline, and then you fill it in with the pixel, like the little square. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Whereas this one, it almost looks like a painting. It's actually,
no, I agree with that.
Maybe I sound stupid because I don't know what the right terms are, but like, you know how like 90% of drawings or old video games or whatever, everything has got that black outline, and then they fill it in. Everything, even if it's that really thin black outline. This game doesn't have that. Nothing has that black outline. Everything is just as it is. And the painting is the way to describe it. Like, looking at these pictures, it literally looks like you could just take a still of the screen, and it looks like a painting. And that's just, to me, they're beautiful looking video games. I love the way they look. All three of them. I think all three of them look spectacular.
You know what? I'm not going to argue too hard with you on that one, because I think they're great fucking looking games.
Yeah, dude. I don't have anything. Dude, I love that and this was something that was in the first game as well, but I love that the screen is completely clean of any form of a HUD, unless you want to bring up like your banana count, or like they show up when you pick up like an extra life for a banana.
That's true. Like you're basically just running on like you don't have to have every piece of information that you have presented at all times.
There's no fucking like score counter or time mechanic or anything at the top of the screen, which I fucking love. I love the various places you go. I don't normally like underground lava levels because I think they're just kind of dark and depressing. Like in Super Mario World, those are some of my least favorite levels, are the underground lava cave levels. Whereas in this game, I fucking love it when you go underground and you're playing in the lava.
That's like the whole second world, and it's good, dude. Man. It's good. Although, here's the thing. If we're talking worlds in this game, we all know what the best one is. We all know it's the fucking amusement park.
Yes, it is. Yeah, I was just going to say, you better say the amusement park. Yeah,
it's the amusement park for sure. Because here's the thing: even if you don't love playing the levels in that, it's always the one you're going to remember.
Yeah, it's the same as in the first Donkey Kong Country. The factory to me is the world that sticks out the most.
Absolutely. Like when you had said, "Do you want to do Donkey Kong Country 2 on the show?" I was like, "Oh, sweet, the amusement park one."
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
They really do a great job. Like, I'm looking at the pirate ship one right now. It looks gorgeous. The underground lava ones, and you can see the caverns in the background with all the lava underneath. The amusement park, you can actually see like the amusement park in the background and the rides and all that kind of stuff.
There's 2 Ferris wheels.
Yes. Like they really find a way to distinguish each world from each other, and they're fucking and then, oh dude, not only, again, except maybe the beehives, which are also look cool. I just hate the beehive levels. The other thing I love about this game is the music in this game fucking bangs, man.
Oh, it goes well, and that goes without saying, right? Like, is this Kirkhope? Like, is this Grant Kirkhope doing the music for this? Because it sure as shit sounds like it.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't look like it on the Wikipedia page.
Interesting,
but I agree with you. I like when I edit this video or this episode, I don't know what music. I'm definitely putting the lava music in because I actually love that music for the lava worlds, but the music in this game is just like, I mean, in case you guys can't tell by now, like I really like this video game. It's considered, I think most consider it the best of the original trilogy, maybe the best Donkey Kong Country game, period.
I almost think I like the first one better, but a lot of me also thinks maybe that's just nostalgia talking.
Yeah, so until I played this for that 24-hour stream, I would have said the first one is my favorite because that's the one I played so much growing up. But having played this one just not long ago because of the stream, I was like, no, this, in almost every fashion, as much as I love the first Donkey Kong Country, this is the better game. Like,
yeah, I think so. Like from a technical aspect, this is technically better.
I really can't think of anything they didn't improve. Like they made like Donkey Kong Country 3 is good, but Donkey Kong Country 3, they almost tried to get a little too zany with some of their ideas, and it's still a really good game, but I'm like, you kind of lost your focus. Whereas like Donkey Kong Country 2, they had the eye of the tiger. They were like, we did something great with the first one. Let's do that again. And I feel like they approved it across the board.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
It looks better. It plays better. It sounds better. The fact that you have 2 Diddy Kongs to control and one of them is a girl and can fly is fucking awesome. Like, it's just, I'm reading the Wikipedia page right now and like, they're talking about how it's considered one of the greatest video games of all time. It's the 6th best-selling game in the history of the Super Nintendo. Retailers couldn't keep it in stock.
Wow, people were scalping this shit.
Yeah, like and oh, dude, quickly before we wrap this up, you know what I love? Another little touch. I really like the name because it's a very
Diddy's Kong Quest.
Yes, because they could have easily called it Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy Kong's Quest, but the way they called it Diddy's Kong Quest and Kong like Kong Quest sounds like Conquest, but it's Kong Quest. I just think that's such a clever.
I like it way better than Double Trouble or whatever the next one.
Yeah,
is.
Dixie Kong's Double Trouble or whatever it was called.
And you know what? Make Dixie Kong the main character. I'm good with that, but don't call it that.
Yes, I agree with you.
Don't call the game that.
I'm looking just in case you're all wondering. I'm looking at the top 6 selling Super Nintendo games right now, and it goes Super Mario World, Super Mario All Stars, Donkey Kong Country, Super Mario Kart, Street Fighter 2, and then Donkey Kong Country 2.
Wow, Donkey Kong Country 2, like that is way higher up there than I expected.
Well, but you know what? Donkey Kong Country 3 is number 10. Like this is
really
that's a great trilogy. Like
is Yoshi's Island on that list?
Yeah, it's 8.
8. Okay.
Yeah, 7
cool.
is
I was like
7 is Zelda, 8 is Yoshi's Island, 9 is Street Fighter 2 Turbo, and then 10 is Donkey Kong Triple Trouble.
I'm actually very, very surprised that Street Fighter outdid Zelda.
Me too.
But I guess like I wasn't around for the Street Fighter craze in the 90s. I was still an infant, so
Yeah.
I don't really know what happened there.
Yeah, I'm not a huge like I've said that many times. I suck at Street Fighter, but
I don't like Street Fighter. It's fine.
but the rest of them are awesome. Oh, dude, and it actually just says here on this list, Diddy's Conquest is the best-selling Super Nintendo game that was never bundled with a Super Nintendo. So,
interesting. Now
tip of the hat.
Now that's interesting.
Yeah, but it deserves it. It's a great game. I think we're almost done. I think we've talked about, dude, is there anything that we've forgotten? I just think it's spectacular. Spectacular video game.
I like that King K. Rool is no longer a king in this game, but a captain.
Yeah, yes. Dude, K. Rool is an underrated bad guy.
I agree. I wish that he had I wish there was an alt costume in Smash Brothers where you could wear the pirate outfit.
Yes. I'm so glad that he's in Smash Brothers. I think he's such a great villain, man. Like
Me too. He's one of my faves. I was pissed when they replaced him with a piece of wood in Donkey Kong Country Returns.
Yeah. Yeah, fuck. Yes.
You know, when they just made it a piece of wood.
When it wasn't K. Rool. Fuck you. Yeah, K. Rool's fucking awesome. Buddy.
Absolutely. This is a fucking unbelievable game.
It really is.
An unbelievable game.
Yeah, it really is. So I'm trying to figure out a way. Oh, wait. It says there was 52 levels. So that's a good way to score it. 52. So on a scale of 1 to 52, what would you give Donkey Kong Country 2 Diddy's Kong Quest? Oh, what a great name.
Oh, man. Out of 52. That's such a big number that I really have to consider. You know what? I'm going to say 49 out of 52.
All right. Yeah, it's like a 9 and change out of 10.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Yeah, I was honestly, dude, like 51. It loses.
Holy shit.
I can't tell you guys how much I legitimately like the Donkey Kong Country games as much as I like Super Mario World. Like, it's the only reason it's losing a point is because of stupid squawks and that level where you have to fly through the vine sky and the fact that it's not Super Mario World. But
and you have to save like the whole save thing about trying to figure out bosses.
The saves suck. But well, you know what though? If I'm gonna be transparent and be fair, if I'm gonna shit on the save files, unless you knew about the cheap ways you could save in Super Mario World, you had to kind of do the same thing there. Once you got by a save point, you couldn't even go back and just save. You kind of had to fight through the next ghost house or fortress or whatever to save. So
that's fair.
I know I don't throw a lot of shade at Super Mario World, but there were a couple of moments when I was playing that game as a kid where I was like, fuck, my mom's like, you got to go to bed, but I'm like, I've beaten 4 levels and I got to save. Like, I just don't find that, I don't find the saves as spread out in that as they are in Donkey Kong Country. That's all.
My mom understood. My mom understood, like, can I get to a save point? And she would always let me do it.
My mom,
but sometimes she'd come in like 45 minutes later and be like, really? You haven't got to a save point yet? And I'd lie and be like, no, totally, I haven't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, dude, my mom stopped gaming before save points were a thing. So she was like, "No, fuck that. Turn it off. Go to bed. Fuck you. Get away from me."
My mom's a huge gamer.
I don't know if I would like that or not, because then my mom would be... Dude, it's funny because... sorry, guys, we're going to end this. But like, my mom just retired, and we were joking about how, like, she's like, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself now. And my girlfriend and I were joking about how she's going to go out and get, like, an Xbox and just become, like, a Call of Duty beast. And like just like I'll just see these YouTube clips of these Twitch streamers just getting worked by this like old lady who's just laughing at them while she's just feeding. Anyway, that's a whole different story.
My mom calls me all the time to ask advice in Breath of the Wild.
I love that. That just makes me feel nice. That's a good story. Dude, God, man, thanks for doing this. I have wanted to. We covered the original Donkey Kong Country around episode 40
so
of
like
the show.
100 episodes ago.
That's literally 2 years ago, and I have wanted to cover this game since, and it just kept falling through the cracks. And boy, we waited way too long to cover this game, and this is. If you were to ask me if you had never played the Super Nintendo, and you're like, well, what game should I play? I would say Super Mario World, and then you're like, okay, well, I'm not allowed to play Super Mario World. This game,
it's illegal.
Yeah, then this might be my number 2 if you're just looking for a platformer, because it's just superb.
That is like quite the recommendation though. The second best platformer on the
It might be this. It might be this.
I think it might be Yoshi, but like I also this is definitely be third. I think
Yoshi's Island was the other one that I was like, well, Yoshi's Island. Listen, you guys know my Yoshi bias, but Yoshi's Island is pretty fucking amazing too.
Oh, that's right. You hate Yoshi for no reason.
No, he sucks. That's why I hate him. But anyway, Bradley, thank you for joining me. Thank you for liking this game, and thank you for allowing Remember the Game Industries to finally give Dixie Kong the goddamn moment in the sun that she has deserved for 100 and whatever amount of episodes it'll be before this episode goes up. Thank you.
Nintendo won't do it, so we have to.
Somebody fucking has to. And if they want to cease and desist me on this because I called them out for not loving Dixie Kong, fucking you can't get blood from a stone. I don't have any money for you to take. Dixie Kong is spectacular.
That would be a great marketing campaign if they gave you a cease and desist.
I'd be all over that. Yeah, fuck yeah. I'd be like, yeah, I don't give a fuck. What are you going to do? Fuck you. Bradley, thanks for doing this, buddy. That was a lot of fun.
Hey, no problem, Adam. Thanks for having me.
That's going to do it for this week's episode. Bradley, thank you so much for giving me a call to talk a little Donkey Kong Country 2. Fuck, I love this game. And to each and every one of you hearing my voice in your head right now, thank you so much for listening. Hey, if you enjoyed this, if you enjoy what we've been doing for the last 141 fucking weeks, consider throwing us a couple of bucks on Patreon. Literally, it's $2. And it helps me out so much. You get extra podcasts, early podcasts, a shout out. I'll read your comments. You can pick games, get into our Discord, so much more. You can find it at patreon.com/rememberthegame. This Sunday's episode of Expansion Pass, which is the show that is exclusive to our patrons. The topic is up for vote right now. It'll be over by the time you guys hear this, but I'm quite confident that I'm just looking to see what I think is what's going to win. I'm pretty sure Best Couch Co-op Games is probably going to win. Yeah. favorite couch co-op games is running away, so that's almost certainly what we're going to be talking about this Sunday. So you get that, plus all our old episodes at patreon.com/rememberthegame, $2. Support me. Thank you so much. I have a P.O. Box. You can find the address at rememberthegamepodcast.com, but it is P.O. Box 69181, Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, T6V1G7. Don't send me big things. I appreciate them, but you don't have to do that. Just send me a postcard, a letter. Just say hi. I'll send you a postcard back. We'll be pen pals. When one of us goes to jail, we can just keep writing back and forth to each other. It'll be awesome. And I'm on Twitch. Come by there. Dude, our Twitch is really growing, which is fucking sick. It is so much fun. I look forward to it every week. Look for Member the Game over on Twitch. Not Remember. Member the Game over on Twitch. I'm there Tuesday and Wednesday nights and Saturday afternoons, just playing video games and arguing with the chat. It's usually a lot of fun, so you can come by there. And that'll do it for this week's episode. Next week for episode 142, unless something goes catastrophically wrong, it'll be the Star Fox 64 episode that I've owed you guys since it won our Patreon poll. This week, Friday, for Patreon supporters, or Monday on the free feeds, Game Patch 31 will go live. Expansion Pass 52 goes live this Sunday. It never stops, man. The podcast. Thank you all so much for listening. I'll talk to you again soon. Cheers. Remember the Game is brought to you by our Patreons. We could not produce all the podcasts, all the YouTube stuff, the Twitch streams, all the crap that we churn out without each and every one of your support. It means so much to me. So I would like to take a quick moment to thank every single person that has supported us at patreon.com/rememberthegame. So prepare for me to fuck up a few names, and a huge thank you to A Novel Console, Aaron Backer, Aaron Lawson, Adam Anderson, Adam Beasley, Adam J, Adam Oshirello, AJ Freeman, AJ Jones, Alex Martinez, Amarok, Amy Gillen, Andre, Andrew Wright, Andy Hudson, April Zane, Ari Picker, Arpad Botos, Ashley Cronenbitter, A-Town, Ben Booyah, Ben Busha, Ben Drinkin, Booganish, Bradley McCue, Brandon O'Brien, Brendan Hain, Brian McKay, Brian Robbins, Brian Medeiros, Brian Ransom, Charlie Medeiros, Chris Campbell, Chris Copland, Chris Fleury, Chris Goodfellow, Christopher Russell, Chris Sumner, Chuck Schlarp, Cody Poland, Corey, Craig Rutt, Crash Bandicoot, Chris Knife 007, Dan T, Dana Wutcherall, Dana Upton, Danny Vega, Dario Omen, Dave McGee, Dave Thompson, David Ray, David Schnatterer, Defunct, Derek Jane, Derpimus Prime, Desert Tortoise, Devin Gordon, Divalk, DNA Gaming, Doohow, Dominic S. Thompson, Doug Dorn, Doxer, Dylan, Electronic Emotions Program, Mfelf, Evan Refuse, Fake McCue, Faro Vitali, Ferdy Martinez, Fraser Burns, Freddie Bovenkirk, G9PSX, Gary C, Geek Life Radio, Honore SJA Flash, Jafar, James Anderson, James Clark, Jared, Jason Cortez, JB Retromania, Jay Clutch, Jeff Johnson from Game On GNT, Jeffrey Mathis, Jer Bear, Jesse Clark, Joe Buck, Joe Gillespie, Joe Mack, John Doskus, John Quack, John Byrne 86, Jordan, Josh Morgan, Joshua Davis, Joshua Davis, Joshua Shenfield, K-Jam, Kate Roberts, Casey Rarick, Keegs, Kelly, Kevin Chincholo, Kevin Donlin, Kevin Hufford, Kinslayer, Kyle Paul, Lane Orr, Leon Knapskog, Les Winan, Luca, Luis Oliva, Mackenzie Wheeler, Mad Shibs, Makeshift Mallow Money, Mark Jones, Mark McHugh, Mark 209, Martin Greenwood, Matt Brown, Matt McLean, Matthew Davis, McJr., Mega Man 2 OG, Mercury 869, Michael Mathis, Mick Morse, Michael Hegg, Mike Cummings, Mike Mallowaney, Miklos Blackshaw, Miles from BringBackRetro.com, Morgan, MPG in Buffalo, Mr. Satan, Mr. Nick, Mr. Me60406, Wolverine Films, Murat Pepper, Nathan Tremblay, Nathan W, Nevrop, Nick Sills, Ninja Lunchbox 79, No One Cares, Pat Duddy, Paul Bullard, Parzival, PB McFadden, Peebs, Pie Messiah, Poops Loomis, Potato Bob Guy, Raging Demon, Retro Ghosty Ghost, Retro Bismol, Rex Sheldon, Robert Fuchsia, Robert Lippa, Rodrigo Tomazzi, Rogue Agent, Ryan Bayshore, Ryan Kinchin, Ryan White, Ryan Yeager, Sam Wright, Scott Brooks, Scott V, Sean Clifford, Seriously Ron on P, Sean Razine, Sharonic, Silver Grunion, Slick Rick, Spencer C. Weiss, Starro Probbins, Stefan Fukasawa, Steve O'Connor, Stitch, Stupid Monkey, Super Mary Ho, That One Kid Nick, The Anti-Spatial Podcast, The Giraffe, The Honest Pokemon Trainer, The T-Word, They Call Me Badger, Thor the Hammer, Tim L, Tim Rial, Todd O, Tom Kite, Tommy Reynolds, Tony Cherichetti, Troy K, Tyler, Very Cool Dude, Vincent L, Vladstein, White Burrow, Wolfgang Darren, Juan V, Wyman Brooks, X Water, Yamcha, Zane Donovan, and Zoo Troy. That wasn't perfect, but I've done better. Or done worse and better. Anyway, good enough. There's your shout outs. I fucking tried. Thanks a lot for the support, everybody. I love you guys. Cheers.